With the November election now less than 6 months away, ABC News senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott traveled to battleground Georgia to talk to voters across the political spectrum about how they feel about the candidates and where they stand on some of the key issues driving this presidential campaign. Here's Rachel with tonight's Prime Focus.
Folks, the people of this nation have spoken.
Joe Biden's upset victory in Georgia 4 years ago broke a nearly 30-year losing streak for Democratic presidential candidates in the state. But his win also sparked then-President Donald Trump's attack against the election itself. The votes cast in Georgia's 2020 presidential race were counted 3 separate times, and top Republican officials have stood by the outcome, even as Trump continues to falsely claim he won. Now, 6 months out from an anticipated Biden-Trump rematch, the race to secure Georgia's 16 electoral votes is in full swing.
With your vote, we are going to win the state of Georgia in an epic landslide.
And all of you here today, you know, you're the reason why we're going to win.
While there are many issues animating voters in the state,
to me, our financial situation is huge.
My most important issue is student loan coverage.
Closing the border.
2020 election denial still looms over the 2024 race in Georgia, where Trump has pleaded not guilty to 10 criminal counts over his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 results there. But Biden's lackluster approval and charges he hasn't lived up to his campaign promises call into question whether he can reassemble the coalition that delivered him his slimmest margin of victory over Trump 4 years ago. Polling suggests it will be an uphill battle for Biden, with Trump leading by an average of 6 points in a head-to-head matchup.
Oh, there's no question that this is going to be a close election.
Senator Raphael Warnock, who has been on the ballot 5 times over 2 years, knows his state's voters well.
I would urge him to do what we're doing, and that is to keep telling the story about the work that we are doing. The other side doesn't have anything to talk about.
To win in November, Biden needs to turn out voters, especially black voters, and Metro Atlanta's Democratic strongholds. Places like Fulton County, home to Cascade Skating Roller Rink, a mainstay in Atlanta's black community. For owner Greg Alexander, an Air Force veteran, Biden is the clear choice.
I cannot, in good conscience, support Donald Trump.
But he says the president needs to do a better job at selling his record.
What I'm hearing is, what has Biden done for the country? What has Biden done for black people? What has Biden done for the economy? I think if he's going to be successful this go-round, he has to really focus on getting the word out on this is what I've done, this is what I stand for.
But not everyone at Cascade is sold on Biden. Navy veteran Bucky Bassett is still undecided.
What frustrates you most with President Biden?
I don't like to be pandered to. I don't like anyone to tell me who I should vote for. And I feel like a lot of times, you know, the Democratic Party at times does do that.
Do you believe that President Biden and the Democratic Party take black voters for granted?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Bucky says he may sit out this election altogether, and he's not alone. A January poll from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution found that 1 in 10 black voters in the state say they don't plan to vote this November.
Could that significantly hurt the president?
I think that Georgia voters, black voters included, are going to show up for Joe Biden the same way they showed up for me. Not to vote is to vote. It is to push Donald Trump a little bit closer to the White House, and that is a dangerous proposition.
Hello, Georgia.
But a Trump victory is exactly what several Georgia voters we spoke to are hoping for.
I'm throwing my full support behind Donald Trump.
At Thomas Barbershop in the affluent Buckhead neighborhood of Atlanta, they're always talking politics.
You know what I love about a good barbershop is nothing's really off the table.
Everything's wide open in here. If you want to bring it, bring it. You want to say it, say it.
Tommy Thomas owns the shop his father first opened 65 years ago. The shop's decor should leave no question about who he's backing this November.
I'm going with Trump all the way. He's my man.
Do you think that Trump can win this state again?
I think if people look at their pocketbooks, I think they're going to change their mind this time.
But support for Trump is not as strong among all of Tommy's clients.
Well, I'm a reluctant Trump supporter. I think any one of the other final Republican candidates could have been very almost a shoo-in in this election.
Do you think Trump is a shoe in this election?
No, I think it's going to be a battle all the way to the end.
To retake the state, Trump will also have to win back voters who supported his rivals. Voters like Lynn Dickens, a self-described big Nikki Haley supporter.
Her leadership style to me was very appealing because it was positive in nature and it didn't really look to demean or take people down.
Lynn supported Trump in 2020, but this time she says his priorities are off.
I feel like there's just so much drama associated with him at the moment, and I'm not convinced that he is necessarily focused on the issues at hand right now.
Out in Rockmart, just over an hour outside Atlanta, a much different sentiment.
Who will you be supporting in November?
I will be supporting President Trump.
Like the city's congressional representative Marjorie Taylor Greene,
we're going to re-elect our favorite president.
People I spoke to here in Polk County, where Trump earned 78% of the vote in 2020, are still firmly behind the former president.
I like his vibe.
Bill Sportiello owns local bar and grill The Rails at Rockmart. He says life was better for him under the Trump administration, and he's not put off by Trump's criminal charges.
Does any of that give you any pause or hesitation about supporting him?
No, I'm a businessman myself, and I feel it's more of a witch hunt than anything else.
At The Rails, we also met Sharon Capes. She cites immigration as her top issue and says Biden has failed to control the border.
I think if I could give him like -0, I would.
Her support for the former president is unwavering.
I think the legal woes actually make me push more for him.
It's built your support even more.
Yes, 100%.
Would you still support Trump if he was convicted of a crime?
Absolutely.
No questions asked?
No questions asked. No questions asked. I would bail him out if I could afford it.
Sharon believes Trump's false claims that the last election was stolen.
What will get you to actually have trust in the November election, in the system?
I guess if Trump wins, I would probably have trust in it again.
Gabriel Sterling, the chief operations officer in the Georgia Secretary of State's office, says that position undermines American democracy.
What happens if he wins Georgia but loses the country? Do you accept it then? What happens if he loses Georgia but wins the country? Do you accept it then? I mean, you can't base your belief in the outcome based on whether your side wins or not. That's just not logical.
A lifelong Republican, Sterling supported Trump in 2020. But when Trump refused to accept that he lost, he became one of the loudest voices defending Georgia's election. His plea to voters this cycle: have faith in the system.
Anybody saying, I feel safe about my vote here, but I don't know about those guys over there, we do know about those guys over there. It's a little bit different, but it's safe and secure everywhere in America.
Rachel Scott from Georgia tonight. Rachel, thank you.